In the last few sections of the course, we've played with data from a digital input sensor, and we've created scorecards, pie charts, and line charts. In this lecture, we're going to continue working on line charts, but this time we're going to fetch data from other types of sensor and see how it goes. So let's head back into our report. Let's add a page, new page, rename it, line chart 2. And I'm going to start right away by adding a new data source. I'm going to do this quickly. So again, click on Add Data, search for Smartrek, click on the connector, enter, well, select logs, click on Next, enter your credentials, click on Next, select a device. I'm going to select this one, click on Next. Where is it again? Garner vacuum dimension. I'm going to select pressure and temperature. Click on Add. Add to report. Let's add a line chart. Let's rename our data source right away. So it was Garner vacuum logs. So we've selected the date as a dimension and pressure 1 for the metric. That's okay. Let's also change the aggregation method to average. And also sorting should be set by date and in ascending order. And again, I can notice that I don't have data for the last 27 days. So remember that we've talked about this before and that we've fixed this by increasing the number of points allowed on the chart. So let's do that again. Head over to the style and increase the maximum number of points to 50,000. That's much better. Now we might not want to create a single chart for each of our devices, especially if we have many of the same type. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another data source and select a sensor of the same type. And we're going to choose the same dimensions also. So I'm going to do that, add data, search for Smartrek, click on the connector, select logs, enter my credentials, oops, click on Next, select another device, I'm looking for a device of the same type, so this one a vacuum, it should be fine. Click on Next and select pressure 1 and temperature as the dimensions. Click on Add and Add to report. So now we're going to click on Blend Data. So you can click again on the chart, click on Data, and scroll up and click on Blend Data. Going to add a new table and select the last data source that we've created and that we haven't renamed yet, obviously. So I'm not quite sure which one it is. Let's try this one. Yeah. So we've already used the blending data option when we've created our pie chart, but last time we didn't specify any join keys. This time around, we're going to add some. So what are join keys exactly? Well, we can see each data source as having a set of columns and rows, like so. Data source 1 has a date column, a pressure 1 column, and a temperature column. The same goes for data source 2. And what we wanted to do was to have both pressure 1 and from data source 1 and pressure 1 from data source 2 as two different series but on the same graph. Oops. Basically, we need to find a way to transform our data sources into this. So a single data source with pressure 1 and temperature from each data source merged at the same timestamp or date. Therefore, our join keys in this particular example will be our date. So let's head back into our report and we're going to select the date as the join keys. Now we also need to add all relevant field. So I'm going to quickly add temperature and pressure and oops, that didn't work. Pressure and temperature. I might be able to rename it. Can I? No. I'm gonna try to rename it. So this was outfall vacuum pressure. Oops. Outfall vacuum temperature. Garner vacuum pressure. And Garner vacuum temperature. Oops. Save this. We might have to change, yes, we have to change the sorting to by date and in sending order. And there we have a line chart. Let's again go into style and adjust the number of points allowed in the chart to 50,000 and maybe make the chart a little bit bigger. Oops. I can also force the y-axis to 0. Right here, I'm gonna specify 0. And wait for it. There's a lot of data. All right, so we're done here. We created a nice chart with 4 metrics from 2 different data sources. However, there are just too many points in there. So it might make sense to have a lot of points if you're charting for a short date interval, so for 1 day, for example. But it doesn't make much sense if you're charting for a whole month. So in that case, displaying 1 point per day by averaging all the points on the same day should be enough for us. So we can do this easily by adjusting the date range in our chart. Here, hang on. We can change the date here. But in most cases, the dashboard viewers will also want to adjust this, and they don't really have the option to go into editing mode. So in the next lecture, we're going to create our first parameter, and we're going to create a slider that's going to control how data will be aggregated.